It's the 100th or 200th or 500th Marvel movie. It's Eternals, directed by Academy Award-winning director Chloe Zhao. Is this movie any good? Will you like it? Let me give you my opinion and a bit of analysis coming up. I had many reasons why I was interested in the Eternals. One was to see what Chloe Zhao, how her vision in The Writer and Nomadland translated into a Marvel superhero movie. As well, I like Greek, Roman, and other kinds of ancient literature and mythology, and I actually teach a class on ancient literature, and, well, you can't see it maybe, but Epic of Gilgamesh is on this list. And of course, the Eternals, one of the characters is named Gilgamesh. Among the other characters' names, Thena, not Athena, but Thena, Druig, who I think is a druid or something like that. And then you have Icarus and Circe and a bunch of others who are related to gods and goddesses and other mythological figures from, religions and traditions all around the world. To my surprise, this movie was less a fantasy movie than science fiction. I know that will strike you as bizarre because this movie definitely has fantasy written all over it, and yet there are aliens in here, synthetic beings, creatures made by, I don't even want to go into it, but pretty much everything is in a science fictional setting as far as things being made, things being of the universe, of matter, and so on. I also found that this movie is easy to get into, even though I don't remember anything from the Marvel Universe. This movie catered to people who don't pay attention to the Marvel Universe. And in this movie, it very clearly says, in the beginning, there are Eternals and there are Deviants. There are these monsters called Deviants. They're predator-like monsters on the Earth, eating people in the ancient world. And then there are these beings called the Eternals, sent from the heavens. They look like aliens. I won't say anything more about that, but they fight the Deviants and keep the humans safe. The Eternals have a bunch of common science fiction problems, including the old Star Trek problem of whether they should interfere in human affairs or not, whether they should gift humans with new technologies, take over their minds, and make life better on Earth, or whether they should let humans develop. The Eternals are supposed to take out the Deviants, which are taking out human beings, and just, save the Earth, basically. And this movie is all about saving the Earth. The movie combines questions about Darwinism and being an apex predator with utilitarianism, moral codes that overcome utilitarianism. All kinds of things like that are swirling in this movie. Interesting philosophical conundrums, and the characters get involved in them. And I really appreciated that, plus this movie's wondersuite. There is some magnificent, humongous, galaxy-wide science fiction ideas. Now, I know that's in Avengers Endgame and so on, which there I thought was, for me, a little hokey. I like this stuff, though. This reminds me of big picture science fiction, even though it will look fantastical to almost all the people watching this. This reminds me of some big science fiction books I know, say by Gene Wolfe, one of my favorite authors. But overall, I thought this was better than a lot of the Marvel movies that I've seen, partly because of my own preferences. I like mythology, I like science fiction wondersuite. This movie definitely gives it to you in huge amounts. The movie is also doing something I don't recall ever seeing. For 30 to 40 years, we've been subjected to movies that go all around the world, say James Bond and Mission Impossible. We can expect in those movies that we'll see 6 to 7 different settings, maybe one setting per continent. That's definitely what this movie does, but then it also goes throughout human history. 6 or 7 different moments in human history, say Cortez's invasion of Mexico City, bombing of Hiroshima, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. We are all over space and time in this movie. It's one-upping all of the globe-trotting that we do in these huge blockbusters for the last 30 years. I also really like the comic relief in this. It made me laugh at several points. And some of the bad parts of this movie include typical Marvel franchise music. We can't get over these scores that seem to be created by algorithms. The same chords, the same instrumentation. I want something different, something completely different, please, in one of these movies, because they all sound the same to me. Also, there are a lot of hammy speeches. This movie, even a couple points, makes fun of the fact that it's making hammy speeches. And part of my problem with these movies is everything is about romance, love triangles. They try to force into a story about gigantic superheroes and huge wondersuite ideas that are galactic in scope. little romance moments that I just don't personally care about. One, it takes the movie into young adult, or really actually bad young adult literature territory. I do feel like I'm reading a hammy young adult novel when I'm watching this in certain moments. And then it's even a little bit soap opera-ish, including a couple of very forced politically correct moments that have nothing to do with the story, and they're just thrust in here. If you've read about this movie, you know what they are. I think you could get rid of almost all the romance, maybe a couple of characters you could give love interest to. So overall, there's sort of half great or good stuff for me, half sort of lame stuff. I give this 2.5 stars for sure. I'm not going to watch this movie again, although I really did appreciate some aspects of it, and I hope that for whoever watches this can be inspired by some of the inspired moments in here, including one part in the ending and a number of things about the origin of the Eternals themselves and their mission and the complexities of their mission on Earth. I really like that stuff in this movie. I wish there were a little bit more of that, and they trimmed out the romance material. What did you think of Eternals? Did you like it? Did you like what's going on? Is it different than other Marvel movies? Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe to this channel for more great content. Thank you and have a great day.